we are here on our IG Live specials. We talk to you all through Instagram, through Twitter, Facebook, X, all those different things. Coach Young would say, what's that? My chat, Snapgram, yeah, all those different things. Before we talk to you on 757 Saturday Sports Talk, it'll probably be from about 9 a.m. to 10:45, 11 a.m. Eastern, because I've got the Great American Rivalry Series to check out, Hampton Phoebus from Darling Stadium. And I have to be honest with all you folks before I get to my 5 takeaways in high school football. I got a movie question for all you out there, or a movie thought. Wave at me, interact with me, post any questions you got, thoughts, comments. We want to hear from all you. Yeah, I'm rocking it. Tell D Vic out there. I got the Victory Life out there. My man D Vic, if he's watching. This has been a very trying, difficult week for me on a personal level. If you know me well, my Arizona Cardinals got thumped by the Washington Commanders. What are they called now? Commies football team, 42-14. And I had to basically turn my phone off from all those people that are just becoming obnoxious. And then I thought, as obnoxious as they were, Mets fans, I don't do harm to people. I'm not a threatening individual. I'm not one that, will do bodily harm to people usually. But I'm really annoyed at you Mets fans. Now, I know y'all have been lovable losers all your life. But if you come near me and wave all your Mets paraphernalia in my face, I might knock it off your head and I might strike you. Because I'm very annoyed at you Mets fans, because my Diamondbacks, who gave me such a thrill last year to make the Fall Classic unexpectedly, surprisingly, they're out. Because the Mets and Braves decided to split against each other and celebrate on the field, take pictures and, all these different selfies and champagne together in the same building when they split doubleheader, which baseball right now to me is America's lame time. It's America's lame time. I'm down on baseball. Pete Rose passes away. He's not in the Hall of Fame. That's another topic for another time. But can you have a moment of silence for the guy, for crying out loud? We can't even have a moment of silence. I'll go more onto that with Coach Young on Saturday. But I'm down on baseball right now. And the Mets fans, Pete Alonso, you got 2 men on in the Monday 5th inning, and you can't hit a 3-run homer, but you do it in the 9th inning against the Brewers, just to annoy me. Got to root for the Phillies now? Do I really have to do that? Frank Tank going nuts after he curses Pete Alonso for 2 months? Unbelievable. Let's get to the high school football stuff. By the way, I know NBA preseason is going on, WNBA playoffs. We're getting near to the finals, the nitty-gritty. College football, we got one game that's a doozy right now with UNLV and Syracuse. Who's not rooting for Vegas to win after the whole ordeal with the quarterback? I mean, crush the orange. Squeeze the orange. Sorry, all my Syracuse fans. I'm really down on New York right now, aren't I? Mets, the orange, everything. And big weekend of college football coming up. By the way, Oregon, who's stomping on Michigan State last I looked, they've got Ohio State next week. And I'm sure we'll have some interesting things that have NFL ties in our state to get to too. But let's get to the Hats hits. We'll take them in chronological order tonight from 1 to 5. Let's take them in the order that we put them out there on Twitter or X at Hatfield Sports. And number 1 for me was the performance in Class 2, Glenvar, the Highlanders, who we put number 2 in the state preseason behind the G-Men, not of New York, but of Graham. And I had coaches tell me, Matt, they're not that great. Their line play is going to hurt them. Kevin Clifford's a darn good coach, and he's got a 2026 quarterback to watch out for. Oh, as Syracuse gets a big play on 4th and 1, and here they are moving behind Mr. McCord, 300-plus and counting. There is a flag on his 4th and 1 play, so we'll watch that as we give it to you live here. Wave to my man Devin Payne, one of the best writers in the state of VA. He's watching with us out there, too. Does great work for the Fredericksburg paper, and he also does great work for us at VA Preps. The thing that's interesting to me is Glenvar plays Radford, who beat them in a heartbreaking finish last year in the playoffs. The game was right there for Glenvar. Radford wins the state title. And tonight, 37-12, one of my other correspondents, Rodney Young's going to have a nice recap for us up on Preps, VirginiaPreps.com, that is, in the coming hours, I should say. And Brody Doyot saw this young man. He is a freshman at 6 TDs in a playoff game, 304 yards of offense, 4 TDs. He's darn good. And some of these schools their players get slept on the lower level, the Class 2s, the Class 1s, Division 1s. If you're out there listening, watching, Carter out there, Raiders. We'll talk about the Raiders a little bit later. And Devontae Adams is going to be around. What's going on? I'm sure Ed will have a lot to talk about with us on that Saturday on 757 Saturday Sports Talk on Cova Sports TV, and watch with us on IG and all the platforms. But Glenver wins this game by 25. Doyot, 304 yards, 4 TDs. He's a Division I prospect, folks. And more schools better be on this kid because you're going to be saying, how did he slip through our cracks? There's a lot of quarterbacks right now in our state. I know you got to go to these camps. You got to show out. There's a lot of quarterbacks that I feel like underrated. I'm not saying they're all Power 5 kids. They all can play Division I, high-end FBS. But Doyot's one of them. So that's number one. Number two, we go out there from Southwest Virginia back to my neck of the woods and the 757. And that involves statement wins by two squads, one of which I saw in person, one of which my colleague Will Garlick at VirginiaPreps.com, a diehard Indianapolis Colts fan, and I think he just took in a game not too long ago in Indianapolis. He might be watching or chime in later on that. And you have to make that defensive play if you want to win. I guess Coach Barrett's watching the UNLV Syracuse game, which I turned my head away from on 3rd and goal. We'll check it out here with 27 seconds as a timeout, which allows me to give you some more thoughts on my number 2 hats hit. And that being the statement wins by the game that Will saw, Kings Fork 33-7 over Indian River. I heard from some of you out there. I was slurping up Indian River. I had some people, one guy told me last week, talk about them. I went and saw them. They steamrolled Deep Creek 49-10. Impressive-looking freshman. We had the interviews with Brandon Carr, Trayvon Scannion, and the quarterback Cam Kirby on Virginia Preps and on Cova Sports TV. And what happened? Well, tonight, Kings Fork, the Bulldogs had the bite. They had the bark. They were ferocious, 33-7, stomping. And it was not a case It was not a case where Indian River could recover from the muff punt. They had the first score in that game, and it was 33 unanswered. They've got one of the best running backs in the state in Javon Ford, who, when he's on his game, it's beast mode. It's like Marshawn Lynch. He is a game changer. Their passing game was good. Their defense was rock solid. Special teams matters in that third phase. Very pivotal. Indian River now, I got to wake this up because you've got Oscar Smith still in the month of October. Oh, we got a TD on 3rd and goal as McCord finds Meeks. And Jackson gets in the end zone. And will they go for 2, ladies and germs? What do you say out there? You go for 2 or not? 38-37. We want more football, extra fun? Where are my Syracuse fans at? We got a guy on his UNLV team, right? Tony Grimes? Where's he at? Did he make a play? Where's my guy TG who played at Princess Anne? Oh, did he come down with that in bounds? I don't know. We got replay coming. Unless my TV's behind y'all's out there. Anyhow, that was one statement win as we watch what just transpired on FS1 if you're not watching out there. Number 2, Green Run, the game I was at. Statement win for sure. 40-18 over Salem. And their quarterback to receiver combination, the TD stood because the PAT is good. They didn't go for 2. Well, we get overtime and fun football coming up. Extra fun, as they call it. 38 23 seconds to go in the Syracuse UNLV game on FS1. Do we need to see if the Oregon game is any good right now with the Michigan State Spartans? No, it's 31-7, 4 minutes to go. We can worry about Oregon next week with Ohio State. But back to Green Run in Salem for a moment here. So I'm all over the place. Kassan Farrar, he's going to UConn. Michigan State plus 23.5. Jack, that's what you get for listening to all the gambling nicks. You can't trust them. You can't trust them. They were doing the whole classic look-ahead spot. You can't listen to them. You know the Ducks are all that they're quacked up to be. You got to know that. Even if Dylan Gabriel had 2 red zone interceptions. 2. Not 1, but 2. One like the 1-yard line. Anywho, back to the Green Run. Kassan Farrar, who was our Chicho 757 football player of the week 2 weeks ago. Can you win the award 2 times in 3 weeks? Probably not. You're probably ineligible, as my good buddy, the late, great Tony Mercurio used to say. Good game for him, though. He played some hoops as well. Kenny Harris, you might want to get him on the basketball floor because he can lock up dudes as well. He can get it done. Helped you win a regional championship. Well, Farrar, 18 of 27, 262. I know Farrar's going up to his UConn visit this weekend. Also runs for a tutty, 92 yards on 5 attempts. Get those rushes up unless you want them to, but maybe you don't. You want to keep them healthy. That's a heck of a night against Salem, which has been known for its defense over the years. And he would get the player of the week, except maybe his teammate was just as good, if not better, the wide receiver, Jane Anderson. If you remember on one of my earlier hats hits back in September, I said best receiver in the state. And there's competition for that right now, folks. I gave it to Dylan Newton-Short, the UVA commit from Matoka. And I'm not taking him off the number 1 spot, but if you're doing a Heisman pecking order board for receivers right now, the Bolitnikoff Award here for high school football, the best receiver, in high school football. You got some competition. Jaden Anderson, the Virginia Tech commits up there. Evion Lewis from Huguenot had almost 300 yards receiving. I think it was, where's my notes? It was like 285 against James River, which is insane. I don't know how many catches or touchdowns he had yet. The Huguenot football account needs to tweet back at me, or X, you can't say X back at me. Tweet back at me what he had. And he's dazzling. I watched him in the offseason. Our man from John Champ last week, we talked about DeJuan Harvey. There's some receivers. 2026, Damore Carter at Verona, another 804 kid who's up there. This receiver leaderboard, maybe we have to do an NFL Network type of high school football top 10 list, and I'll have to give you the top 10 in order, 1 to 10, and make people mad that I have 6 through 10 like I'm slighting those kids, which I'm not. I'm giving you love. I'm giving you praise. I'm giving you shine. I'm giving you respect. RESPECT. Know what that means to me, as Aretha once sang. And you're right out there, Bird Athletics. I'm going to get to y'all in a second. Matt Henderson at Powhatan, if you're watching on YouTube on our show, or X or Facebook, he's special. We are Penn State, as they say. He's really good. Of course, they took a loss tonight against LC Bird, which had like 13 sacks, a school record. I'll get to them a little bit later on. We'll get to that in a second. But back to the 2757 making statements tonight. Look, Green Run game was close with Salem, 18-11. They pulled away. Their defense has been playing lights out before tonight, where Salem got a couple big plays. And by the way, the young man from Salem, Kasir Patterson, he's a 2027 receiver. He's really good. I was thrilled last year with all these great running backs we've got in Virginia, with now a quarterback for Dinwiddie, but a running back for Southern Cal and Harry Dalton. The Clemson commit for Liberty Christian, Gideon Davidson and Javon Ford at Kings Fork. You got Brandon Nesbitt at Oscar Smith. You've got just so many running backs that are incredible across the state. I can't forget about Jeffrey Overton Jr. for crying out loud at Hayfield, 2-time, probably soon to be 3-time state player of the year, who's going to the Hokies. I was just so, the running back, the running backs last year, I was fascinated by it, infatuated by it. Well, now the receivers have got my attention. They've got my attention. We'll check out that interview there on your Cav Connection, or Jack, about Mr. Newton Short. He's really good. I watched him at the ODU 7-on-7, interviewed him there. But these receivers are something else. And by the way, on Hayfield for a second, Isaiah French, the quarterback, 7 TDs tonight against Falls Church. I know it was Falls Church, but my goodness, hard to beat that. It's going to be hard to keep him on first team All-State in Class 6 at the QB spot. So those were statement wins. The Beach, it runs through Green Run. They've now won 39 straight regular season games, 44 total against Beach District foes. I don't see them getting threatened by anybody. They already took care of Cox, who's got a mighty good defense. We'll get to them in a second. Jack saw a good game with them at Ocean Lakes tonight. And they've gotten through Salem. The only tests to me come with Indian River, perhaps in the region playoffs. And then if they get further, the big dragon could be waiting in Maury out of 5B, or whoever it is. Maury seems to be the team. In Kings Fork's case, they want to, slay the dragon if they get that far to a Maury, the defending state champs. And their region road could be tough, because you could see Nansemond River again. Granby's a story right now with 5 shutouts. Warwick beat them last year. And, oh, by the way, that's a hard game if they see them again, even without Messiah DeLome, because they've had guys step up for them. Jaden Gilliam on defense. We know how good Christian Corbin is on the line. Dakota Burtis, the big 6'5" giraffe receiver, catching the ball. Cam Glenn running it. Saeed Williams at quarterback. And Corey Harrison's doing another good job there. But Kings Fork shows that Oscar Smith Showdown is coming up, folks. It's looming in October here. We've got that matchup, October 25th. Be there or be square. But the roads go through those couple of teams in those districts for now. Let's go to number 3 on the Hats hit here. That's where we're moving along. Then I got my movie thing at the end. Stay with us, folks. It's going to get fun with the movie question. I know Lamar's going to love that if he's still watching, if he hasn't left us for the thrilling finish of one of these college football games, which is not the other one. I need to change my channel here because it's stuck on Fox. Go back to FS1. Here you go. Overtime. All the rules up there on your screen. Number 3, most exciting finishes of the night. Cox Ocean Lakes is up there. They had 41 points in the second quarter. Falcons win at 32-24. Shut them out in the second half. But that's the bronze medal. The silver medal, 42-36, GW Danville over Magna Vista. As Coach Harris and DeMarcus Morris and all the GW folks, they're standing loud and proud right now. Nehemiah Cable leading the way. Nehemiah Cabell, I should say. They're down 15, 8 in the third quarter. They beat Magna Vista. 4th straight win for them. They lost to Dinwiddie in the opener. Here comes GW, and they have as passionate a fan base as there is in the state. Look out. They think they can make a real run in Region 4D, where they've already beaten one of their possible roadblocks in an EC Glass this year. That's the silver medal. That's the second best game of the night. And they scored with 14 seconds to go to win 42-36 and break the hearts of Joe Favero's Warriors, who are still a darn good team to be reckoned with in Region 3D. But at the top of the list for me or near it, Stafford, who last week had that thrilling finish with Colonial Forge, they beat Brook Point 63-56 to stay undefeated. And I think the guy that runs the X or Twitter account for Stafford's probably putting his fingers in a bucket of ice because it's got to, as much as they were scoring in that game. You say, what's wrong with Stafford's defense? I say, who's defensively going to stop them right now? They are putting up points. And I'll read you for word on our VIP board on Virginia Preps what we wrote about this game. And it's not that long, so hang with me here. Brook Point 3-2 at Stafford 5-0. ... Michael Creamer and Zion Gray have combined for 1,291 yards rushing and 21 TDs for the surprising Stafford Indians, who rallied in the final seconds to knock off Colonial Forge last week. Brook Point counters with the leading passer in the Fredericksburg area and Gabe Dombach, 1,313 yards, a 16-6 TDI-INT ratio. So this has the makings to be a high-scoring affair. My pick, Hatfield says, 34-28 Stafford. We got the score. We got the team right. We didn't get the score right, and it was way higher than we thought. 34-28 ended up being 63-56. And I'll say this last note on number 3 before we get to number 4. This will make all the fans out there watching on YouTube, X, Facebook, everywhere mad. We got some outstanding football all over the state. Southwest Virginia, Roanoke, Nova, 804 Richmond, 757 Tidewater. Right now, tonight, on October 4th, 5th, whatever this day is, 6th, 7th, whenever you watch it, 8th, the most exciting, didn't say best played, exciting brand of football in our state of VA at the moment, spine-tingling, is in the 5-4-0 Fredericksburg with the Colonial Forges, the Staffords, the Brook Points, the North Staffords, who beat Eastern View tonight 38-21. If you want to travel VA or you live in the 504, you're blessed right now because that's the most exciting football. I said it. I made all the rest of you mad, but somebody had to say it. And it was me, the guy wearing the Victory Life shirt. The Dwight will probably take it from me because he's probably embarrassed that I said that. But hey, I said it. Number 4. Only one of 9 schools in Region 5D are going to cover. Well, good for you. You got your back door. Tell you what, you had the Bucks the other night. You didn't get your back door. Woo! That was hey, by the way, my man, Mr. Gillum across the street might listen to me on plus 23.5. Say something funny. 31-10. They're not going to win the game, though. That's what you get sometimes when you get the look-ahead spot. Not the upset, but you get the backdoor cover. 41-38 in overtime, though. It's more entertaining here, Jack. Stick with us on UNLV Syracuse. Put that, you got your cover. Flip it over to FS1 here. Number 4, only one of 9 schools in Region 5D entered the week above 500. Why is that? Because Stonebridge has been struggling. Briarwoods has not been doing all that great. Riverside was the only team over 500 who will be taking on Briarwoods Thursday night. But Briarwoods might have got its mojo back with a 28-7 win over Fort Hill of Maryland to avenge last year's loss. We know about the quarterback, Brady Carmichael. He's going to Navy. Likely as a linebacker. Trey Dudley at running back is going to JMU. They've had some injuries. Offensive line is young. Mike Burnett's a heck of a coach. He's been in state championships. He's won state championships. And they take 4 teams to the state playoffs. 1 from each region. 5A, probably going to be duked out with Green Run and Indian River. 5B, Maury until dethroned. Kings Fork, Warwick, Granby, Nansman all hope they can. I'm not sure they can. 5C, Matoka, William Fleming, LC Bird, the 3 to watch there. 5D, what the heck's going to happen? And Briarwood's looking like that team, which I thought at the beginning of the year, they had the 2 tough losses to swallow, North Stafford, the missed field goal at the end against John Champ. I think they're going to get rolling and finish 7-3 or 8-2 and start to hit their stride as they get to November. Number 5. All right, this is for all of you out there. If you're watching on Instagram, X, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, IG, LinkedIn, wherever we're streaming at. I don't even keep up with all the different platforms and devices. This is number 5, and this is going to depend on you, the fans out there. So coming into October, we had 41 of 60 teams ranked in the top 10s of the 6 classes, from Class 6 down to Class 1 on Virginia Preps, undefeated. Got me to thinking, who stands out as the quietest quality unbeaten squad of the bunch? So you can't pick Maury because they've always had some loud victories. You can't really pick a Graham who just edged Union in Class 2. You can't pick a Liberty Christian who won that slobber knocker with Heritage of Lynchburg last week. You're not going to pick a Phoebus who's got a win streak that's, approaching what now, 40 plus. You got to pick someone sort of under the radar that's undefeated. If you can say undefeated is under the radar. I'm sure some might lean towards a Granby. My question at the moment would be who have they played, though they have their first time in school history, 5 straight shutouts. And they did two times in the 40s. They had 4 straight. Let's see, probably more at the end of the year, and they both could be 9-0. But I give you an A, B, C, D. My A is Madison in Region 6D out of Northern Virginia. They blank South County 42-0. And this is for the first time in Madison's school history that they have a Division I football recruit on the roster. And that is the guy who's rather nicely a big-time talent, Dominic Nicely, who is committed to Coastal Carolina to play for the Chanticleers, who had that tough loss recently to UVA, and they're going to try to take down Old Dominion this weekend. And he's a running back who's going to put up probably 2,000-plus yards. But Madison is not getting the love and fanfare in classics that, say, the obvious suspects get. The Hayfields, the Oscar Smiths. Stafford here all of a sudden is just shot into our top 10, so they're getting a little love. Washington Liberty could be a great choice here. Glen Allen got some love a couple weeks ago with their big win over Thomas Dale, undefeated there with Coach Malik Sexton. So they were one that came to mind, and they blitzed South County tonight, who's a perennially good program. They've played them a couple times before in the state playoffs, 42-0. Their defense, that Warhawks defense, is incredible right now. They've beaten Stonebridge this year, shut them down, shut them out. You got shutouts of South County and Stonebridge, you got my attention. And they're a legitimate state championship team here. Oh, Syracuse wins with a touchdown. It's going to be hard to get it 3rd and 20. That was A. B was Battlefield, now 6-0. They blanked Unity Reed 56-0. They still got those battles coming, no pun intended, with Battlefield, and the likes of Gainesville and Patriot from their Cedar Run district. But Greg Hatfield, who's not only got a great last name, no relation, the coach of Battlefield's had undefeated regular seasons. Can they make the stick in the playoffs and advance and be in a position where they're playing in the state semis and possibly the state championship? Those are the big questions that are looming for them. And they have a couple of D1 level recruits on their team that have good bloodlines. When you talk about, for the Bobcats, Mr. Binkowski, who has committed to play his college football for Army, Cameron Binkowski, DEOLB, hybrid edge rusher. Older brother went to Villanova. So you have Cam Binkowski, you have Cole Woodson, DB, who's going to Pittsburgh. Older brother for the Hokies. And Caleb. Battlefield, I think they're still not getting enough fanfare. And C for me, of my choices, and you can come up with your own choice. I want to hear from you out there. Kettle Run, now 5-0 after they beat Millbrook 31-14. It was tied going into the fourth quarter. They only beat them by 4 last year. They'll have a couple of tests before the end of the regular season, but they've now put together, they have a chance to like their 3rd or 4th unbeaten regular season in the last 4 or 5 years. And they're just laying in the weeds in Class 3, just a couple years removed from playing in the Class 4 state championship. So give me your choice out there. Who are we leaving out? An Armstrong, a Granby, a Sharanda. Who are we leaving out? An Eastside in Class 1, as far as not getting enough love with a goose egg in the loss column as we move past the midway point. They say Glen Allen. Listen, I tell you what, they have been mighty impressive. Dallas Chavis running the ball, Malik Sexton. Do yourself a favor. If you haven't watched our interview from a couple weeks ago, it's up on YouTube, On the Hash with Hatfield. Malik Sexton, he was just a joy to talk to. Really revealing and insightful on his career and upbringing, and now what he's doing following the footsteps of Perry Jones, who did a heck of a job at Glen Allen, the former Oscar Smith running back, and UVA stand out too. So that pretty much wraps up the Hats hits. I do have some idle thoughts here, some other shout-outs too. I mentioned Bird, so I'll go there. How about dozen-plus sacks, 13 sacks. Jason Wright is going to Buffalo, 12 of 15, 351, a couple of touchdowns and a TD run in the 41-20 victory over Powhatan. They've gotten back on track from that tough loss in the Battle of Chester with Thomas Dale, and they're starting to find their stride. That's that coaching staff that's there. That was Coach Bland's group that was there with David Bedwell, Jamon Siegler, Shaquille Vaughn with 3 sacks each. They're really starting to eat, and Bird is going to be a hard out in Region 5C for William Fleming, for Matoka, for anybody. Bird is the word, and the Skyhawks are starting to hum here. Keep an eye on them. How about that Cox Ocean Lakes game? Jack saw them. Man, oh man, Tyler Noe is doing one unbelievable job at Cox. They are not blessed with some of the superior, overpowering athletes that some schools have in the 757 or Beach, but they are so well coached and disciplined and hard-nosed, and they were down in that game against Ocean Lakes, who was one of the more improved teams around, with Noah Colon throwing the ball, Devin McGill making plays, receiver spot, special teams. Like I said, 41 points in that second quarter, but they buckled down on defense. They make such good adjustments with Brian Graham as assistant there and that whole staff, and they all rallied to the football. They really do, without one or two dominant players on their team. F3 Journey says, nobody has even scored on Granby. That's pretty impressive, man. I don't care what level. I'm with you. And my comp for Granby is they're this year's Warwick. Granby has a chance. If they get to game 10 against Maury without having – and we know what Maury can do to anybody, even Granby. So let's just put that aside for the moment. Put that over here chilling on ice. Their next four opponents are Lake Taylor, who got a win tonight but having a rough year, not their typical year, Churchland, Norcom, and Manor. Now, the instinct is Norcom and Churchland can score on them potentially. But how about the future quarterback? MJ looked really good. Yeah, that's a good point, Jack. I have to look a little closer to that, dive into those numbers with what they did. Max Palmerton was been the main guy, but they had some other people step up. But back to Granby for a second. Churchland and Norcom can score on them. Dontavius Booker running the ball, Matthew out and catching it. But let's say they do somehow shut out those two teams, and they take this shutout thing. Oh, we got a TD. The Orange have done it. They have knocked the running Rebs from the ranks of the unbeaten, and the captain's nose is bloodied, and UNLV has taken the L. Sorry, Lamar. I know you wanted otherwise. You don't always get what you want. Welcome to my world as a D-backs and Cardinals fan. Grant, let me see. Did he get in, though? Yeah, he did. He's definitely in. Granby, if they pull this off like Warwick and they get to the 10th game without having given up a defensive touchdown, and we have that with two teams in a 7-5-7 2 years in a row, my goodness, that'll be some kind of story there. Couple other thoughts here just to finish up on the football side of things. You know, I feel like I haven't found a team that I can say definitively, except maybe in Class 2, which was my number one in Glenver. Our number one teams were Class 6 Hayfield, Class 5 Maury, Class 4 Phoebus, Class 3 Liberty Christian, Class 2 Graham, Class 1 Essex. All right, I've got Alta Vista 2 in Class 1. I got Glenver 2 in Class 2. I've got in Class 3, as the review is at the TD stand, so it's good. Syracuse wins at 44-41 over UVL. I got TJ of Richmond, number 2. Kind of seeing that battle with TJ of Richmond and Lafayette potential in the state semis in Class 3 to see who might get Liberty Christian. Huguenot in Class 4, looking really, really good. Some people are still unsure who the second best is to Maury in Class 5. They thought for a week it was Kings Fork, maybe not so much. Now they might think it. Matoka, still got to prove it. You got Warwick, Green Run, Indian River from the 7-5-7 there. Indian River takes a hit tonight. William Fleming and Granby have been really impressive emerging stories. And in Class 6, Oscar Smith, we're still waiting to see what they do in their big tests that await with Indian River and Kings Fork within the district. But I feel really confident about those 6 still winning the state championships. I haven't been shown anything otherwise to think that one of those top teams on the mantle could go down. If I had to pick one that could do it, Huguenot and Glenver jump out because of Glenver's quarterback in Dayat and Huguenot, just the rate of which they're scoring. If they somehow jumped on Phoebus, which is what we talked about last year with King George, and King George came close to doing it, that somehow, some way they get there. But the thing for Huguenot is, getting out of their region is going to be mighty, mighty hard because you've got Dinwiddie, you've got Verina. So getting through Region 4B is no picnic. It is a hard thing to do. All right, that wraps up all the high school football chatter for now. We'll have more on 757 Saturday Sports Talk on Cova Sports TV on Saturday morning. But before I let you all go, so I was talking with a good pal of mine about the best movies because, Friday night you want to find, Saturday night you want to find a movie, whether it's with the gal, the missus, whoever it is, your companion, your friend, your dog, your cat, whatever it is. even by yourself. You want to see a movie, whatever. That's not as funny. You watch a movie or something. But anyways, so I was telling him, we were arguing about the top movies of all time. And I guess IMDb has a top 250 movies list. And certainly there's no surprise the top 4 are The Shawshank Redemption at number 1, The Godfather 2, The Dark Knight 3, and The Godfather Part 2 at number 4. But my top 10 would be different. I haven't written it out yet. Maybe we'll do this in the weeks to come on either the podcast or this. I'm baffled that there's no My Cousin Vinny on a top 250 list, and there's no Summer Rental. They got to be on this list. I don't care if it's 192, 216, 83, 25. They got to be on this list. My Cousin Vinny's a classic, and Summer Rental with John Candy is a great movie. They both got snubbed on this list. And I know there are, movies that are, you got Raging Bull. You got movies that make sense on this list. The Groundhog Day, Forrest Gump, a little high at 11 for my take, for my love. But hey, life is like a box of chocolate. You never know what you're going to get. A Casino at 142, too low for me. That's way too low. That's to me like a top 25, 50 movie of all time. And they got Rocky at 213. And Rocky, just with the music alone and Stallone's performance, has got to be in a top 100. So the list is, check out the list. I'm giving IMDb some love here, and a pop. The list, I just shake my head at some of this. I don't know who did this list. I really don't. Got to have those movies up there. So shoot me a note whenever you do and tell me what you think. Hey, Coach, we're out there. Shout out to you guys getting that W last week against Tab. Poquoson in D2. I love what I saw from you guys in the scrimmage against Ocean Lakes and that opener against Lake Taylor. You guys have fought through injuries with the QB going down. You're a gritty group. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys again and making a run in the playoffs. And I think Region 2A is yours. I'll be really curious to see, should you get back to the state semis like I'm expecting, who you draw in the state semis from 2B, which right now has got some chaos going on. I like Clark County a lot there. Central Woodstock got those forfeits. They beat King William, and that's a team that's in your region. King William hasn't gotten in the W column. They played a tough schedule. Riverheads is still there, who I know you guys want to get revenge against after what happened last year. They're not the same team as last year, but yeah, I think you guys have the goods to really make some noise in this. And that might be a team. I want to see how you guys do if you get through to the finals against a Graham or a Union or a Glenver. But Poquoson, you guys certainly battle tested in the Bay Rivers with what you're seeing with the teams that you still have coming up, with the Lafayettes and with the War those teams on the schedule that you played. You've already beaten War Hill 21-14, but in Lafayette at the end of the year 9-0 at Warner, that could be a lot of fun to go check out. That might be a game I have to get over to. So big props to you. I'm glad you're tuning in tonight. And I want to laugh, and I feel like comedies get snubbed. I'm with you. I know you meant snubbed, not subbed. I'm with you. The comedies do get snubbed way too much. They do. And I'm a big Casino, Goodfellas type of guy. I really am. Those have got to be up there. But go check out that list. It's the last little note. Go check out that list. I was really surprised by that. But, hey, this was fun. We went a little longer than we normally do. Good college football going on, the NFL on Sunday. And we'll be back with you next week on Hats Hits, the IG live video special here on Instagram, on YouTube, all the platforms. 9 to about 10:45 or 11 a.m., we've got 757 Saturday Sports Talk with you. We'll go through more of the high school football. You'll get some sound, some interviews, some highlights, all kinds of good stuff, stats too, Coach Young's perspective, mine. We'll probably get into a fight, which will be fun. You can take his side, my side, tell us we both need to go to our separate sides, and our NFL picks for this week, which I think is week number 5. I got a couple wins this past week, which I'm happy about. So thank you all. Good night. We'll talk to you on Saturday morning. Keep it tuned and subscribe to Cova Sports TV on YouTube. Have a good one.